Braveheart Workshops, inspiring connection. Restore, renew, and reconnect in community. Live well, laugh often, love much. Join our online connection circles. Be empowered in our virtual live events. Be a guest on our podcast shows. Hire us or be hired for speaking engagements. Enhance hope, health, and healing in your lives. Creating global connections. The Connection Show, sponsored by Braveheart Workshops, live with Jill Reynolds. The Connection Show, creating hope, health, and healing in 2021, sponsored by Braveheart Workshops, live with Jill Reynolds. And joining me today is Pasha Marlowe. Welcome to the show, Pasha.
Thank you for having me, Jill. Happy to be here.
Where are you joining me from?
Just outside Portland, Maine.
Portland, Maine, and I am in Branson, Missouri. So it's just a privilege to have you on the show, Pasha, and I would love the audience to know a little bit about you. Pasha Marlowe, MFT, is a therapeutic comedy and pleasure coach who empowers people to speak their radical truths through creativity and on live comedy stages. Through Life and Laughter, she artfully blends her unique life experiences with her life's work of healing through psychotherapy, embodied emotions, holistic wellness life coaching, theater, and comedy. Pasha is known for her authenticity, persistence, resiliency, and her ability to connect. Her work is the culmination of 50 years of radical truth-telling, heroic self-loving, and pleasure activism. She has a passion for empowering others to be courageous, vulnerable, and fierce in their quest for joy. She finds great value in teaching children and adults to reframe their stories through the lens of humor or even just practice the art of laughter. Pasha studied theater in college and holds a master's degree in marriage and family therapy and specializes in treating PTSD, depression, and anxiety disorders. She's been a nationally certified health and wellness coach since 1992 and has owned 4 wellness centers. Pasha currently works as a life and laughter coach and a holistic personal trainer. She's the creator of Roar with Laughter, a groundbreaking program that leads women from rupture to rapture by learning how to see the world through the lens of humor. She is the host of the podcast Let Pleasure Be the Measure and is the author of the book My Next Husband Will Be a Lesbian. She lives in Maine with her husband and youngest son. So, wow, what an amazing girl you are.
Thank you. That next is a really important word in that. If you say my husband is a lesbian, that's even more saucy. Yeah.
I know, my husband. Wait a minute, my next husband. Whichever husband I choose will be a lesbian. Who cares?
It's just a title. It's just a title.
If you want to make him a bird, you can make him a bird to fly away and come back when you call him home.
Oh, the homing pigeon.
The homing pigeon, or the dove that comes back when the floods have gone,
yes.
Right? The dove. Yes. Oh, my goodness. Well, laughter is fun. And Pasha, one of the things that we love about the Connection Show is we truly believe that story is so impactful in our lives. And connecting story is so amazing. And so on the Connection Show, we love to connect dots to see where they lead. So if you may choose to be vulnerable on our show today, would you take us on a journey back to little Pasha and tell us what it was like growing up in your family, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and bring us forward to why you're doing what you're doing today?
I grew up outside the Baltimore, D.C. area, and life was scary I was scared often. There was a lot of turbulence in my house and outside my house, and a lot of sexual trauma in my history. And my parents, I don't think, were very excited to be parents, so there wasn't a lot of emotional nourishment there. And so I spent a lot of time by myself with my journals and little dressed mice. I don't know if anybody remembers these, like these tiny little mice that are like fully clothed in ornate clothing, like yay big, like 2 inches big. They're really small. But I had hundreds of them in a drawer. This was like my little, community.
These were not real mice. These were stuffed animals.
They're like, yes, stuffed animals, but almost look like cat toys. Like, they were just so small. Now that I look back, it's kind of weird.
I had to make sure they weren't live mice in your drawer.
Hundreds of live mice I played with every night, and I dressed them up. No, but it was like, but it was so funny because there was, a postal worker and a bride and a chef, and just like, it was just anyhow. So I did imaginative play with the mice. And then I graduated to Little House on the Prairie, which became my new imaginary family. And thank goodness for that, because I was raised by the Ingalls family, and they taught me well about life and love and perseverance.
Good night, Martha. Good night, John Boy. And you needed that. You needed someone to tuck you in bed.
Yes. And that's the Waltons.
That was the Waltons. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Little House was Laura.
Yes, the Ingalls. Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, and Michael Landon. What a hot guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Looking back, I didn't realize how hot he was. At the time, I was just obsessed with Laura Ingalls, and thought that their family was just so sweet and strong. So I spent a lot of time watching that, and really was shy, extremely introverted, and terrified to be in public in any way. So I threw myself into theater, because academics were very hard for me. So if you're not good at academics at my school, you're either going to sit in the cafeteria terrified, or sit in class terrified, or hide in the theater with the rest of the kids who are terrified. And that's where I decided to go, thank goodness. And in that community, I found my people, my three-dimensional real life people, who became my friends, and my community, who supported me to slowly start to find my voice. I ended up going to college on a theater scholarship, and then halfway through realized that what I really wanted to do was heal, because of my past with sexual abuse and trauma. I just knew that was something that was in me to want to do, to be of service to others. And so I did, for a little while, leave the theater, went into psychology, got my master's in marriage and family therapy. I worked as a marriage and family therapist for a while, worked with families with children in trauma, and then started to have my own children, and really just didn't have the space in my life to also, as an empath, care for all of my clients. So I became a holistic personal trainer for a little bit more positivity and preventative care and physical embodiment of all my emotions. And that worked really well for 25 years. Flash forward 2 years ago, my youngest boy, who's now 13, but at the time was 11, became very ill. And I had to pivot again because I needed to be in a job that was flexible enough for me to sit by his side 24/7. And so I went deep diving into the world of coaching, and of all things, started reading Man's Search for Meaning about the Holocaust by Viktor Frankl. And one passage in that book said something along the lines of, the people who survived the Holocaust were those that were able to laugh in community with each other. And it struck me at the perfect moment to realize that was something I had not yet ever accessed. I was not easy to laugh. I did not appreciate comedy, humor, laughter, pleasure, none of it, until faced with the fear of losing my child. And so in the face of death, I found comedy.
Well, I'm just in awe of what you're sharing, because I look at you, and it's kind of weird how I get these spiritual things from God lately, Pasha. They're just amazing. And as you were speaking, God was saying, look at Pasha's eyes, look at her face, look at her features. That's what he kept saying to me. And as you spoke, I could just see this essence of joy and beauty that just permeates your entire being. I don't know if you, because again, many times with our past traumas, we don't even see ourselves. It's very difficult to see ourselves and to even take enough time, especially when you have a sick child, to pause long enough to even know you exist, let alone look in the mirror. And as I was listening to you, I was watching you carefully, and you just permeate so much beauty, inner beauty in you. And I look at you and just see these gorgeous laughter lines. And it's funny because, you know, that's the one thing that I've always said to myself, I wish I had mine come down like this, because I've had so much sadness. And my sister's always was like up here. My sister's always was filled with joy. Always. And she passed in June, and I'm sorry, in September. And she woke up every day stepping in the day in with joy in her heart.
That's a gift.
Every day. And we lived in the same insane house. And she always had the gift of joy, and I always had like a sadness, just a sadness. And so, you know, it's like your energy. I come into this space with you, and it's like I just want to be with you. It's like, give me more, Pasha.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I do feel that one of my greatest values is integrity and authenticity. I come to every conversation nowadays with a lot of vulnerability and humility. I think when you face losing your child, whether it's to illness or suicide or whatever tragedy it is, it flattens you, and you're at rock bottom, and all there is love after that. And so I don't have a lot of fears outside of losing him right now. And so in that fierceness, I'm just showing up with my heart on my sleeve wherever I go. And I think people feel that.
So are you able to share a little bit about this journey with your son? Is that too personal?
No, in fact, I share it often, and every time I share it, I'm hoping to become a little bit more empowered. And also, always there's new perspective when you tell a story, and it comes out differently, and new emotions are released. So I'm happy to share it, and it's a privilege to hold space for somebody who's in chronic pain. It's exhausting and difficult, and I miss freedom, but he's been sick for a couple of years. We believe at this point it's a combination of chronic Lyme on top of many co-infections that are also tick-borne, on top of a terrible reaction to a vaccine, and kind of the big, storm at once hit. And he went from being jolly and athletic and happy-go-lucky to the next day just hardly being able to walk. And he rarely goes to school, and he does need help every single day to do often just daily tasks. So it's life-changing and brutal, to use a Glennon Doyle word. It's like anybody who cares for somebody who's very ill, or even somebody who's dying, it's like there's this beauty and preciousness to it, and so much heartache and grief as well, and uncertainty.
Well, and then you put the stressors on, no matter what kind of healthcare insurance you have, the stressors of the financial burden on the family as well.
Yeah, there's some illnesses that are covered by insurance. And then there's some illnesses that once it expands beyond the scope of what is typical of the illness, it's not covered. So unfortunately with Lyme, the first couple months, people are pretty good with insurance, antibiotics, things like that. But even though he's on antibiotics now, still 2 years later, and many, many other herbs and tinctures and alternative medicine, functional medicine type things, none of that's covered. So a typical Lyme client or patient spends $20,000 to $30,000 out of pocket each year. And I found that to be true, and consistent with every story I've heard. So wow. It's just not sustainable.
Well, and what I have found too is traditional medications generally don't help the Lyme disease that all. It's the alternative medicines that start to give you a ray of hope, and
Mm-hmm.
they're so expensive. It's like, just sharing, like, hey, I've got another product that's going to be like 130 a month. Would you like to try it? And I'm like, sure, but I don't have $130. Would someone give it to me? Like, everyone just like throw some money at Pasha so she has the money she needs to share. Like, yeah.
It's true that almost every medicine he takes, it's funny you say 150, and almost every medicine people suggest or herb or supplement or product is about 150 a month, which is cumulative, becomes a lot. Plus every doctor's appointment, no joke, is between 250 and 450, 250 or 450 per week to go to the, integrative health, alternative healers, all this. And so Lyme specialists are needed, and they make a lot of money.
Well, and then but the whirlwind of it that people don't grasp is when it's your own child and you don't want to say no, you end up what? Doing one alternative, putting it on a credit card that now incurs the interest, and you never, ever, ever seem to bail out of credit card debt. You never do. It's like they just exasperate. I know this when my son was just little, at like, I think 5, 6 years old. The teacher said, you have to spend more time with him because he's not learning how to read. And I'm like, this kid is so smart. Like, why can't he read? Well, it turned out that he had a muscle imbalance, and his eyes were shifting. Instead of going across, they'd shift down. He'd lose his space. He didn't know where he was. And so I found a specialist in the Chicagoland area who actually worked with a professional quarterback in Chicago when they won the Super Bowl. He had blindness in one eye. So these eye doctors did these muscle therapies that would balance your eyes and get them therapeutically in line, so you could your eyes would work together. So I had to take him 3 times a week back in the 80s at $55 a session for about 6 months. Well, I didn't have $150 a week. I was a single, never married mom. So it went on the credit card, and it took me over 15 years to get out of credit card debt. And he only needed the physical therapy for a year, but 1 year of debt took 15 years to get out of. Because you can't. There's no way out.
Yeah. And I mean, I could get myself really nervous about that for sure. The reason why we chose laughter is because sometimes what's funny is how hard it is or how bad it is. Like 2020 was so bad, it's kind of funny, almost. So we do this often. We're like, how much debt can we accrue? How bad could this medicine taste? How awful is that decor in this hospital? So sometimes that relieves some of our pain and stress, and it's become a game, and it's really quite fun. What
scale is your pain on a scale of 1 to 80? Forget 1 to 10. Let's shoot for 80 today.
we were so tired of those every intake form, asking the same questions, and I'm pretty sure nobody was reading the answers because we started making things up and nobody seemed to care. But at one point or another, I brought out a keyboard, a piano keyboard for my son, and it would be, there'd be however many, I should know how many keys are on a keyboard, but we would say, play the note of how you're feeling. So he would just bang on either the high notes or low notes or a combination, and that to us felt like a more creative way for him to express his range of emotions, and he was just done with the 0 to 10 scale. Yeah,
because it's like I can't even get there. Like 1 to, and it's funny because I've had pain myself, and so, the 1 to 10s, I just walk in all the time and circle 8. How's 8 sound? How's 8? I'll just put 8. And
right, you're not being stabbed at the moment, so we're gonna go with the amount of pain that we could tolerate and still be able to get to the doctor. Let's go 8.
Let's go 8. 8 sounds good. It's kind of like, and you'll laugh because you got the great. It's kind of like going to the doctor and they said, when was your first menstruation? And I go, how's 12 sound? Because I don't remember. I don't have a clue when I menstruated. I have no clue. 0. And I don't
remember when they asked me, when was your last one? Like last month or whatever. I don't remember.
But the first one, I don't remember it because when my sister, who's a year and a half older, was older than me, when she got hers, she hid in the closet because no one had told us that this was going to happen, and she thought she was bleeding to death.
Oh
So,
dear.
so I remember her trauma of hiding in the closet. That when it was my turn, I just went, I don't know. I'm in denial. Did it ever happen?
That's funny. The only reason I remember when I first had my period is I was playing flute in a recital in 5th grade on Flag Day, which I'm pretty sure is like June 12th or something, but I just remember it was Flag Day. And I for no rhyme or reason, you know, I decided to put it in my journal, like Flag Day is the day that you begin your period. And I'm just thinking that was an odd correlation. And my mom never told me about it either, but she did put a brown paper bag outside my door after she found out with pads and a bar of chocolate. And I was like, okay, I guess that's my lesson. That's my sex lesson. That's it.
Here's your Midol.
That's it. All right.
Oh gosh, the dysfunction of families, right? Let's not teach our kids about what's supposed to happen to their bodies.
I try so hard now to teach my youngest son, now that we have time, we're like sitting in front of each other all day. So we talk about bodies and bodily fluids. And of course, with this illness, he's become quite an advocate for his health and wellness. So we're learning a lot about his body. And I got an Etch-a-Sketch just for fun, for myself and for him. And I was Etch-a-Sketching a vulva, because that's what you do. And I made it so good. And then I took a picture of it, put it on Facebook, and I got slapped because it was so good. They said it was pornographic. And I was kind of impressed with myself. But then flash forward to like a month later, we were asking my son, I was like, do you know what pornography is? And he goes, yes, it's when you draw vulvas on an Etch-a-Sketch. I'm like, no. We have to, let's do this lesson again. That's not
You're giving me porn lessons, Mom. Thanks a lot for the way you teach me. Oh gosh,
if only all porn were on Etch-a-Sketch, we'd all be better off, I guess.
Yeah. So share a little bit about for you. We talked about your son. But in all truth, what is life like for you when you wake up every morning to this heaviness? What does it really feel like in the morning when you get up in the morning and you're sure you want to use laughter as a coping mechanism? But what is real life like in your house for you?
Yes, it doesn't start with laughter. We build up to it. It starts, he sleeps in my bed because there's so much pain at night. So I usually wake up to him crying, or saying, Mama, it hurts, or Mama, I need pain medicine, or help me, Mama. Those are pretty much the 3 things I wake up to. That's my alarm clock. And so I hold him, I hug him, we work through some of the heavy emotions, and we sometimes cry. And then we try to get up out of bed, and then we try to help him downstairs. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. And then we attempt the first of many, 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 many tinctures and meds, which is challenging. And then I drink coffee, at least 2 mugs. And then I try to sit on the couch where the sun comes in, just to look at the sunrise and remind myself of nature and the cyclical aspects of things and all that I'm grateful for. But I don't have a gratitude journal, even though I'm sure I have intentions to. And then we try to figure out what kind of day it's going to be. I know I have, a few clients a day and a few podcasts and other things I want to do outside of the house. But most days I have to cancel everything that allows me to leave the house, any appointments on my own, any doctor's appointments, anything related to self-care or massage or a walk sometimes goes out the window. Even walking my dog to the mailbox is sometimes too challenging because the truth of it is sometimes when his pain is so bad, there's still the fear of him harming himself. And so we're always on alert, like always on alert. And so we hide sharp objects and we make sure that he's safe. And I have neighbors come to walk our dog or bring us groceries some days. Some days are not this hard, but some days are. And then we do things throughout the day to sprinkle in pleasure and humor. We take the dining room table out of our dining room. We put a ping pong table in there recently. Just, even if you can't play ping pong, we're like, life is not all pain and suffering. There is also play, and there is also beauty and gratitude. And so we just try to keep reminding him, and then sometimes he reminds us by telling a joke or saying something funny because he's not in the mood to cry anymore, and it just comes out as laughter. We move through the stress cycle all over the place every day. And then once he's settled, which means once he's plugged into Xbox, which I've let go of any shame about how much screen time he does, because that's his joy. I do my work, and I see clients, and I lead my therapeutic laughter groups and comedy groups. And my pleasure is to create my podcasts and talk to people and help people. And he's right in the next room, and I can hear him and often go in to see him. But it's very important for me to continue my work, to continue keeping my energy up, so I can go back and better be of service to him. And he doesn't like it when I cancel everything all day, because he feels so much guilt that he's ruining our day, or mommy's not allowed to, go grocery shopping, and now she can't even work. He takes it on. So I'm trying to be a little bit more independent from him and kind of cut the cord a bit, because I think in our enmeshment, it was worsening our conditions. And so we're really mindfully trying to find ways to be apart, even though we're still in the same house together all day. Does that make sense?
Yes, totally. And, Pasha, thanks so much for sharing that with us. Years ago, Pasha, I had the privilege of going to treatment for codependency. And the one definition that I learned that was so impactful for me was when we allow people, places, or things to become more important than ourselves, we lose our identity. And in the midst of this heaviness in your life right now of prime caretaker, my prayer for you is, when you do that routine in the morning, as you do it, at some point when you get that first coffee, just to do a quiet inner saying for yourself of, today I'm going to realize, Father God, that I am needing self-care for myself first. And then with any energies I may have left over, I can give them to my son, my husband, and thereafter to my clients. Mm-hmm. But putting it in the range of God first, you second, your son and family, and then others fourth. Because when we have that type of balance, it goes to the likeliness of being in that plane crash when they say, put your oxygen mask on, and they say, parents, put yours on first so you can save your children. And so, with the heaviness in your life, my prayer is that you'll wake up every morning, God the Father, thank you so much for giving me life, and my son life, and my husband life, and bringing clients in. Help me, God, to take care of myself today so I can be an instrument of love to my son and family, and then to others.
Nice.
And just staying with that, because you are so impactful to your son. If he can see mom's taking care of herself, and then that frees him up from feeling like you don't have a life anymore.
Exactly. I've heard a quote. It says, the greatest burden a child can carry is the unlived life of a parent. And I take that to heart. I really enjoy my work, and he sees me light up when I have clients and podcasts and books and all the things, and he takes pleasure in it. And I do know that that's part of his healing as well. Plus it offers hope, to move through illness and pain, and to come through the other side.
Well, you know what? Just to share real quick with you on that, I love that, because of you being comedy, one of my most favorite all-time improvs is the Hitchhiking Improv. Mm-hmm. And you put out a chair, and one's the hitchhiker and the other's the driver, and the hitchhiker hitchhikes, and the driver stops the car and picks up the hitchhiker, and the hitchhiker gets in. And with improv, you just start having this conversation. I just think, like, once a day with your what is your son's first name?
Jamie.
Once a day, put a chair out and say, Jamie, we are doing hitchhiking now. And let Jamie be the driver and you be the hitchhiker, and then vice versa. And just say, and just play that with him for 10 minutes, because it will get him laughing like crazy. And
Yeah.
that laughter for him will pull him out. Because sometimes, I have chronic pain syndrome as well. I've had Lyme disease and parasites and you name it and blah, blah, blah. And, just having something to lighten that load every
Yes.
day is so helpful.
Yeah, we do that. We sometimes it's through improv games, and sometimes it's through card games or more traditional games. Sometimes the other day, just to make his medicine or eating his vegetables more fun, we're like incorporating, Alexa into our life, because Alexa's, in every home now. Hey, Alexa, name a random number between 1 and 5. And she says 4, and he counts over the 4th vegetable and he eats that. So we try to incorporate and sprinkle games and humor and pleasure into everything we do, even if it's eating your vegetables or taking your medicine or brushing your teeth. I put a disco ball in the bathroom because he's brushing his teeth. I don't know why. And so, yeah, I try to make a lot of it fun for him. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So moving forward,
Mm-hmm.
do you feel in 2021, God's given me the sayings, hope, health, and healing, hope in him, health of our bodies, and healing of our spirit, body, and mind. Do you feel anyone besides God and you and your family, do you feel like there's been any hope yet given to you on these prognoses, or does it feel like this is as far as anyone's given you? Does anyone give you any kind of signals of where this is going for his life?
No, we're providing our own hope at this point. We have not received from all of the many medical doctors that we've seen or alternative healers. We have not received the hope we're hoping for, we're looking for. So we're creating it on our own right now.
That's got to be that's the heavy part, isn't it? Because I don't know how you feel, but do you go into these stages where I'm going to try yet one more thing and see if this is it? And then I've done this myself, so I'm wondering if you can talk for yourself, where you go to that one doctor, there's nothing, and then you pull back for about 2 months, and then someone else, and then you go again, and then you pull back. Do you feel that push pull all the time?
Yeah, I think somewhere last year we were up to maybe 350 doctor's appointments, which is almost every day that we had gone, and different sometimes doctors, and trying to get hope somewhere. And Jamie, who could blame him, was just like, I don't want to keep trying. I don't want to go in the car and fill out another form and have somebody else poke and prod me and ask me these difficult questions. Nobody's been able to help. So we did give him a break for a while. And then we did go to Boston Children's because we were told, they were the best, and we dropped thousands of dollars on that. That appointment was probably the hardest one because they were supposed to be the best. We really did tell him and say to ourselves, like, we're going to get some clarity today. It's going to be worth all of this driving and heartache and discomfort. And they said, looks like chronic pain and chronic stress. You should go home and, relax and try to exercise. And we're like, whoa, like we didn't really get any answers at all. I mean, I have no doubt that chronic pain can be related to chronic stress. I have no doubt there's trauma in his background and that it's cumulative in his little body and that it's impacting his ability to heal. Potentially even inherited trauma or generations of trauma. I'm like open to all that. But it's frustrating to go and see him not be able to walk up and down the stairs and then have somebody say it's just stress. That doesn't feel good.
Oh gosh, I nothing's worse than when it's your child. And when you say, the one thing you just said that makes me the most angry is when these practitioners tell someone who's in chronic pain and could barely make it to the bathroom to exercise. I want to just slap them across the face and say, oh yeah, you try to exercise when every finger aches and hurts and I could barely do this. And yeah, you want me to go out there and move my body to the point of exercise? It's like insanity.
Yeah, fortunately, because of my exercise background, I know that there's ways to incorporate some movement, some part of the body, even if it's mentally through, meditation. Then there's yoga, and there's Tai Chi, and then there's anything from a stationary bike to him standing on a trampoline but not jumping on it. Sometimes I got him a hoverboard so that all he has to do is stand on it, but he moves through space because he normally can't because he's limping or holding something. So even just psychologically finding a way to move. So we have tried, but there are days where all he can do is lie on the couch, and we have a Beamer, which is a medical device, PMF, that stimulates his blood and oxygen flow and lymphatic system. And if it's just that, it's that. And we say, okay, that's your exercise today. And if you're feeling better, we'll do something else. So we really just take it moment by moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Just that thought though, someone's saying, go home and exercise.
Yeah.
like me, I need to lose weight in order to have another hip replacement. They want my BMI to be under 40. So they go home and exercise. And I said, do you understand? I can't walk one block because the pain's so bad, and I can't stand for 5 minutes. So now, can you help me to understand what type of exercise you want me to get my BMI to come down? What type of exercise? Can I just go like this? Will that lower the BMI?
Well, I've had a couple hip replacements before, so I can completely empathize with the pain, deep stabbing pain of walking or sleeping even. So all I could recommend is if you could sit in a chair comfortably, you can get your heart rate up by pumping your arms and punching your arms and punching kickboxing style.
And we'll laugh together, right?
Yeah. Or even just standing still. Like sometimes I do because I can't go out for a walk. Sometimes I need to just move fast and pretend I'm exercising. So I stand in place. I do like the Tony Robbins thing where you pretend you're running really fast in place. And I can get pretty sweaty, so it's not the same, but there are ways, even through breath, to get your heart rate elevated. I don't know if it'll help enough for the BMI, but yeah, it's such a hard thing when you're in chronic pain to need movement to help the issue. It's like, okay, but then I have the pain, so how do I do the movement? It's hard.
Okay, well, we're getting vulnerable here. So this is what keeps coming to me, and you'll probably hate me on this, but that's okay. You can hate me on this comment, but love me on others. All right? Have you ever done a GoFundMe page?
Okay, I don't hate you. Thank you. That's very sweet. I had a GoFundMe page right when this began, before COVID. And then as COVID hit, we took it down because honestly, it felt like everybody was in economic stress and uncertainty, and it just didn't feel appropriate to keep it up. But we did have one. It was short-lived, and it helped a little bit, and that money's gone. So I work my tail off, and I love my work. I'm so grateful for my work. I really do take complete pleasure and joy in it, and I work a lot.
Well, and the reason I asked that question, okay, is God's just telling me do another one on Facebook, because Facebook has a fundraiser as well that you can do, Facebook fundraiser. And because you're on Facebook and people are starting to know who you are, and now we're doing this one, I would encourage you to do this because I just feel, Pasha, you are such a loving, kind mother, and you're trying to spread joy to the world. And the stressors of the finances are real. And, and I can attest to this because, I am retired, live on Social Security. I mean, and we're not hurting. But when all of a sudden my sister had 12 weeks to live from pancreatic cancer that came on suddenly, my father, 94 years old, had no health issues, and right in the midst of my sister dying, something happened and he slipped away. They died 2 days apart. I got COVID, my husband got COVID, my stepmom got COVID. We had to sell his house, pack up but we had to stay in a hotel for 6 straight weeks. That cost, with all of the hotel and the food that we had to order because we couldn't go grocery shopping. We had to order stuff in and have it delivered. It was over $7,000 in 6 weeks.
Wow.
And there was no way that I had 7,000. And I just felt like I'm going to do a Facebook, live fundraiser. And I think the total cost came to just under 8,000. I ended up in 6 weeks raising $7,200 and came home without having to have all that credit card debt stress on us, on top of the losses and the funerals and the illnesses that we all got. And there were people who, gave $5, $10 that I don't even have a clue who these people were. I don't have no idea who they were. And they came to my aid, and it was just so heart-wrenching for me because I'm not the kind of person who ever asks for help. I just don't. And it was the first time in my life that said, I just can't have another burden on me. And so I would really encourage you, because you are doing so much to help others, to maybe we could help you right now. I'm just feeling that way. And I'm feeling like God's telling me, you guys listening, let's help Pasha, because she really needs this right now. And so would you put a Facebook fundraiser up and just see what God wants to do for you? Think about it, pray about it for us.
I will think about that and consider it, but I do thank you. It's a beautiful offer and sentiment, and the the New Englander in me says I am so happy to work for money, and if people want to help and receive healing, I can help them through the coaching and provide services, and then still make money, but still feel like there's an exchange of energy. So like right now that feels more comfortable, but I will open my heart to that idea again.
Well, I'm going to put your bio up, and so if she doesn't do a fundraiser, this is how you reach out to her and hire her as a coach. That will help. That will help to offset some of the
stress. And I'm a really good coach, by the way. I'm a very effective coach.
And she's so much fun. So you not only do you get the coaching, but you get her energy of love and kindness and beauty, and you'll know that you're helping Jamie too. So yeah. My heart's heavy for you. I can't do the coaching right now because I'm doing so many other things, but if you do the fundraiser, I'd love to pitch in a little bit to help you out, because you're just an amazing woman, and and just to know that we can help Jamie, just to know, and maybe that one miracle will come through of having enough money, and then another kind of tincture might come through that might be the right tincture, because we don't know.
It's true. And interestingly, there's a lot of treatment centers overseas, which we weren't able to access due to COVID safely, but that might be the next step. There's week-long, month-long programs where I would go with him because he's so young. And it's unfortunate that a lot of them are overseas in Germany and Switzerland, I think. But yeah, there's options out there for us. And there's a lot of people who've lived through chronic and late stage Lyme and have received some healing and some hope. So we're listening to those stories as well.
Well, let's give Pasha all of our prayer energy, and if you're into Reiki, do your Reiki, whatever you're into, loving this family, because I just care about you so much, Pasha, and so grateful that God led to me to you and to connect with you. So anyway, we're going to transition to one last thing before we hop off of here. What is one fun fact about you, Pasha? One fun fact.
One fun fact. Oh my goodness. I love moving. I've moved 19 times and it thrills me to move. I'm moving again in a couple weeks to downsize. If anybody's like, that doesn't make sense. We're downsizing. We're taking advantage of the hot market right now in Maine. And it thrills me to create space. It's going to thrill me to get my kid in front of 4 different walls, on a different couch, in front of a different window with a different sunrise perspective. It thrills me to meet new neighbors and find new paths to walk with my dog. So I, every couple years, move.
You get bored with the same wall, so let's move. Guess what, honey? We're moving again. Oh, we are?
Well, this time it's within the same school district, so there isn't as much change for Jamie in case he ever goes back to school. But it just feels like that's the right thing to do. But yeah, I do really love it, and it's kind of a strange thing because some people see it as a stressor, and I see it as an opportunity, and it might be my ADHD showing through, but that's okay. I see that as a gift.
If you like to move, consider moving to Branson. It is gorgeous here. We're the Ozark Mountains, lots of lakes for him, fishing, everything. It's just so gorgeous here. And the cost of living is probably an eighth of where you're at. We built you're going to laugh at this one. We built a home to downsize. We were living in Chicago, paying, I want to say, $8,000 a year in property tax on a 2,300 square foot home. And it was 2 stories, so we wanted to downsize because we're seniors and we wanted a ranch. So we looked at properties, couldn't find it, we found this lot on the 18th hole of a professional golf course. And we did the blueprints, and it was going to be 2,200 square foot ranch. So downsizing from 2,300 to 2,200, but a ranch. So we didn't have
plenty big, right?
Yeah, but a gorgeous new home. Right in the middle of the blueprints, I said, but where are we going to do if the grandkids want to come and visit? We have no place for them. Why don't we do a walkout basement too? So by the time the blueprints were done, we were at 4,400 square feet. Home. Okay. Now listen to this. Our taxes on 4,400 square feet a year, $3,000.
Fantastic.
Versus 8,000 for 2,300. So this house where we're at would be 16,000 in Illinois in taxes.
Good grief.
A year.
Yeah.
So anyway, you love to move. Come to Branson.
I haven't considered Branson yet, but that's, right now I'm in the New England phase of my life, I guess. But yeah, I will consider it. My older children, my adult children are in Dallas and Detroit. So no matter where I go in the country, everyone's going to seem too far away.
Oh no, Branson would be perfect. It's only 8 hours from Dallas.
Right.
And from Detroit, it's about 12 hours.
Piece of cake.
All righty, everyone, thanks for joining us on the Connection Show. And please keep in mind that Inspiring Connection, Hope, Health, and Healing is doing a conference in Branson the weekend of August 20th to 22nd. It's on the website now. So please register, and y'all come to Branson. Come and visit us in Branson, and we'll have a blast together. So thanks again, Pasha, for joining the Connection Show.
Thank you so much, Jill. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Have a nice day, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the Connection Show. Let's connect now. Let's restore, renew, and reconnect in community. Enhance connection in our online connection circles. A place to meet up, gather, and feel welcomed. To join us, go to braveheartworkshops.com. Click on the Books Podcast tab, and then the Connection Circles drop down. On the pop-up, join our Connection Circles Facebook group. Our circles meet from 8 to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Share story, topics, and laughter with men and women. To learn more about Connection Circles, go to braveheartworkshops.com. Thanks for joining us on the Connection Show, and have a great day.